Oh great, another manhwa where the MC reincarnates as a third-rate, useless character and uses game knowledge to become overpowered, is what I thought when I started reading this. But I'm glad I stuck with it because I couldn't have been more wrong. In this manhwa called Extra's Academy Survival Guide, our MC may have been reincarnated as a nobody, but he doesn't actually care about becoming OP or getting involved with the main plot. All he wants is a peaceful life. However, no matter what he does, the story keeps dragging him into the chaos. But is this manhwa actually worth your time? Let's dive in and find out. Our MC gets reincarnated into a popular fantasy game centered around a magic academy as a third-rate villain named Ed Rothstaler. To make things worse, Ed's life is a complete disaster. Right before our MC takes over his body, Ed gets kicked out of his family and chased out of the school dorms. And if that wasn't bad enough, the dude's destined to live on the streets as a beggar. And just to rub salt in the wound, his stats are one of the worst in the entire game. Now, here's the thing. If you manage to graduate from this academy, you're guaranteed a secure future, which is exactly what Ed has his sights on. His only goal is to work hard, get a scholarship, survive, and graduate. He's not looking for glory, just a peaceful life far from the main plot and characters. But of course, things don't go as planned, cause no matter how much Ed tries to avoid the spotlight, he keeps getting tangled up in the story's events, dragged into situations he desperately wants to avoid. The story might seem like something you've heard a million times, but what I love about it is that it doesn't make Ed OP overnight. To be honest, when I first saw the system that showed Ed's stats, I thought this would be another one of those manhwas where the system gives the MC quests, and he levels up by completing them. But this manhwa is not like that at all. There are no hidden artifacts or magical shortcuts to power. Whatever skills Ed develops and however strong he becomes is all thanks to his own effort. And that's one of the biggest charms of this story. The plot revolves around him trying his best to avoid the main story and lead a low-profile life. But of course, the universe doesn't agree with him, as every time he tries to stay out of trouble, he keeps getting dragged back into the main events. The story also focuses on his survival in the forest since he was thrown out of the school dorms and banished from his family. However, I'll be honest, the manhwa can be a little confusing at times with plenty of backstory and world building. This can slow the pacing down a bit, but it's not overwhelming. In fact, the backstories usually serve as great setup for what's to come and keep you engaged. Now, for the big question, is it a harem? Well, yes and no. On one hand, a lot of girls do start to fall for Ed over time. We're not even 100 chapters in, and there are already 3.5 girls interested in him. Don't ask how I got 0.5, it's complicated. On the other hand, Ed is so focused on improving his survival skills that he doesn't even notice these girls. This is good for people who aren't fans of harems, but for those who are, it'll leave you screaming, how the hell do you not know she likes you? And honestly, you can't read this manhwa without rooting for at least one of the girls. I'm not really a fan of harems, but even I'm torn between Janica and Lortel at this point. I really love the character development in this manhwa, especially Ed's. Ed isn't one of those MCs who becomes overpowered overnight. He's a survivalist at heart, and his growth feels raw and organic. Every ability he develops is the result of his hard work and experience built over time. It's refreshing to see him transform from a scared, panicked guy into someone calm, collected, and calculating. His goal isn't to become the strongest, he just wants to survive and graduate, which makes him really relatable. This manhwa also handles the development of other characters really well. In fact, maybe even too well. As I mentioned earlier, the backstory and world building can feel extensive, but it helps you understand the characters deeply. For example, Janica, the spirit sorcerer, perfectly embodies the phrase, "the loneliest people smile the brightest." Over time, she becomes a sweet and reliable friend, and yes, one of the characters I'm rooting for. Lortel, the golden daughter, starts as a sly merchant who believes everything can be bought with money, but she evolves into someone you can't help but secretly cheer for. Lucy feels more like a little sister to Ed, adding a lighthearted dynamic to the story. The princess is, hands down, one of the most annoying characters, but even she plays an important role. Taylor, the actual hero of the game, brings his own complexities to the plot, making his presence feel essential rather than caged. Overall, the character development is well executed, especially with Ed. Honestly, I never expected him to become as calm, collected, and reliable as he is now. And that's one of the biggest surprises that keeps me hooked. The art and character design of this manhwa are really impressive and hit the mark perfectly. It creates a clean, expressive, and immersive world if the fight scenes are also really well done. Though calling them fight scenes might not be entirely accurate, since the manhwa leans more into magic and fantasy with minimal swordplay, but they're still top-notch and exciting to watch. The backgrounds also strike a good balance. Sometimes they're simple and effective, while at other times, especially in areas like the forest where Janica usually stays, they feel much more detailed and immersive. Ed's survival camp, the academy, and other key locations are all drawn with just the right amount of detail to set the mood without feeling overwhelming. The character designs are also spot on. as they perfectly reflect each character's personality. You can't compare Ed's scruffy appearance at the beginning to how he looks later on. It's like seeing two entirely different people. His design evolves along with his development from a struggling outcast to someone with a calm and composed demeanor. And it's not just Ed, every character's design tells you exactly who they are. For instance, you can tell from just a glance that the princess has an annoying attitude, Janica radiates warmth and kindness, Lortel's sly expression scream cunning merchant, Lucy gives off lazy little sister vibes, and Taylor looks every bit the classic hero type. I'm not trying to overhype this manhwa, I'm just saying that the art and character design are genuinely great, and they do a fantastic job supporting the story. If I had to rate this manhwa, I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10. This manhwa really stands out in a sea of reincarnation stories by avoiding overused tropes. Ed's gradual character development, combined with the survival aspect, makes it refreshing to read. The pacing might feel slow at times due to the world building and backstories, but like I said earlier, they give you deeper insight into the characters and what's really going on. The art and character designs are also top tier, making this manhwa even more enjoyable. Like I always say, this is just my rating. If you're tired of overpowered MCs or harems with girls fighting over the protagonist, seriously give this one a try. While some girls do have feelings for Ed, the story doesn't waste time on them fighting over unrequited love. Plus, Ed himself is too focused on survival to think about romance. For those who missed it, the manhwa is called Extras Academy Survival Guide. Will you be reading it? If you already have, how would you rate it? Let me know in the comments and tell me which girl you're rooting for. I'm Team Janica all the way, but I wouldn't mind if Lortel wins either. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more manga and manhwa reviews and recommendations. See you in the next one. Peace.